Okay, so if you missed it in the preceding / concurrent live stream that's recording right now, it took 13 minutes for the goofy stalker that was standing outside of my window at 7 p.m. to come running downstairs, staring through my window, as was caught in the video footage on the concurrent live stream that's recording after their hack attack on the HP Chromebook, which coincidentally was recorded. That's a new record. He's run back upstairs now. Smart decision on his point. A little late, though. Little late. I did keep the curtain closed when I aimed the laptop at him, and I did say, you better run away now before you get detained. And that's because I'm a minister. I'm a merciful sort. You're welcome. Don't do it again, boy. 2 times is enough. Oh, apparently I ended the other stream, or Unit 207 did. I'm not sure which is the case. I might have ended it when I started this one with the new stream key. Oh, I guess from upstairs they ended it. They wanted to pretend like it wasn't true, but now they see it was true. Don't do it again, especially not for that girl. She is on the list of individuals that the FBI is excited to put in prison for the rest of their lives. That's not me insulting her. That's the decision she's made as recently as getting you to come back downstairs, boy. We'll keep that little video a secret, though. Let's keep it unviewable as a courtesy to that poor guy. Let that be a lesson, though, boy. I've given you 2 shots today. You fucked up each time. You fuck up again, that video will be public, and I promise you, the FBI is not nearly as nice as me. I would also like to point out to those of you who didn't blow the whistle, the FBI plans on using every sort of drill you've utilized for these 300 plus days of illegally detaining me in all of your prosecutions. So don't listen to the small woman upstairs I have renamed Asshead after previously being called Mini-Me. She and codename Jersey Devil, aka Putin's Pussy, have been looking at life sentences without parole since August. The two of them, their one and only backup plan remains what it was before you ever made a single kidnapping actionable. And that is to point their fingers at each and every one of you and say that you did it, just like the attorneys. I don't have Stockholm syndrome. I shouldn't be the one having to tell you this. I shouldn't be the one feeling bad for you because you're some guy who listened to the idiot upstairs and came down to my door and telling you literally, didn't I just fucking say, run away before you get detained? Think. There's a little diddly that everybody knows that's going to prison for the rest of their lives. A song that I created before they kidnapped and assaulted me, like was premeditated and reported and then made actionable so that you could come in and touch my devices and plant evidence and perpetrate the final felony to murder me without video and audio footage. And that is Mystic Gwen's door is a no. Unless you want to go to the federal penitentiary, and it applies past, present, and future. Don't forget, there are 16 individuals that the FBI is confident they're going to convict for felony stalking of me. Anyway, I will keep that video set as unlisted, and I might do the same with this one as long as there's no more shenanigans this evening, okay? As a courtesy to you and me, because the Bureau is not going to like that I just fucking told you to run away. It's still recording. Run away before you're detained. All right, so I'm doing the power wash on the HP Chromebook, which Unit 207, the Everett Police Department, are requesting that I do so that they can get back to attacking this live stream. So I'm doing that as a courtesy to them so they can further hang themselves before they are detained and arraigned here shortly. Okay, it's been power washed, guys. You're welcome. Sometimes I wonder why I'm so fucking nice, man. And the answer is because people are stupid. Quite frankly, that's the answer. I'm so nice because some people are just like used as doormats by evil fucking people. But it's like, dude, I can't tell you don't be a fucking doormat. I mean, I can tell you, but I've been saying that for a long ass time. The whistleblowers already fucking got on board. Now is not the time to join the doormat club for the people the FBI is excited to put in prison. Now is not the time. Now is the time to do that and face attempted and conspiracy to perpetrate the one remaining felony, which is a murder time. Now is not the time to be showing up outside of my door because you think that your hacks have ended the live stream. Anyway, like I said, I'll keep this video and the one that preceded it private, so long as there's no more shenanigans. Then in the morning, we'll start a new live stream that will have the same title as the others. Target day, murder attempt. That being said, you're going to remain in the description as a little sentence. And you're goofy because you've been outside of my fucking window twice today. That's what makes you goofy. It'd be better if you send the little lady that everybody listens to upstairs because she is going to prison for the rest of her life. You send her downstairs. She's in the 5. I also think that it would probably be wise for me to remind everybody, true or false, the Bureau said I would be here every weekend for the month of June, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you that have been here all month, you know that's true. That is what they said. So whatever it is that has you guys thinking differently and hauling ass to make sure that you go to prison with those that you consider to be your superiors, you really, really, really should pull your head out of your asses. Nobody fucking listens though. So, the people that were going to listen already did. They blew the whistle. They're getting paid. And just like me, they're just fucking sitting here twiddling our fucking thumbs, being like, well, the Delta flight did indeed land upside down and it's still trying to take off. Still in the tarmac, blocking our Alaska airliner. So just to be clear, the way that the Bureau described it to me in March is that as long as the light is on the laptop, with or without internet, with or without the live stream, they are in it and on it. They've said they control all of the data you guys have acquired and used. And they said there's not a device in this building that they don't already have the ability to be on 100% of the time. So again, we're waiting for the one and only felony that hasn't already been made actionable by the Everett Police Department's domestic terrorist cell and aggravated criminal conspiracy. My murder to be deemed a suicide and to not have any video or audio footage. And I'm not quite sure what's going on today. I thought that it was just, because tomorrow was your target date on Friday, just trying to see if you could cut off the live stream and criminally and illegally enter again, not just hit me with 4 different stalking incidents today on the exterior, including peeping Tom charges, dude. One of the officers, the FBI nicknamed Officer Peekaboo. Doing that shit is really not smart considering you're 100% stalking me at present while getting paid to defraud your employer, all criminally and not above board at all. Not at all. Not at all. Don't end up feeling foolish like Kishana, who may or may not have blown the whistle. But I was told by the Bureau she didn't know from day one that it was what it was, unlike Asshead and codename Jersey Devil, who were fully aware. That is to say, I would like to listen to a fucking podcast, but you guys just keep showing up as soon as you think that you've terminated the live stream. And the Bureau would like you to think that you've terminated the live stream because, like they've been saying since April 1st, it's supposed to come as a big surprise that they have full video and audio footage of the final major incident. But for whatever reason, you guys have a deep urge for me to open the door today. Did you guys go and get another fraudulent order that implicates you in even more felonies? What is the deal? It's like the one little wolf in the Department of Piggies. Only it's the reverse. Your crazy wild boars coming to my fucking house and banging on the door trying to eat wolf stew. Anyway, try to refrain from doing anything else that's fucking worthy of me having to fucking make that video or this video public. Everett Police Department. Because I will get in trouble for telling that boy to run away before he's detained. And for those of you that haven't been around long enough, that's because my big mouth has gotten me yelled at by the Bureau more than a few times, particularly in the fall, for literally convincing people not to perpetrate crimes or to be in certain locations they planned on being on certain dates to perpetrate crimes. So anytime that I'm saying, go away, the live stream's still recording, run away before you're detained, I'm pissing off the Bureau. So I don't want that video to be public either. Nor do I want this one to be public since I'm mentioning it. And just realize as you proceed ahead that the Bureau said that the next 2 weeks, every individual that's going to prison for the rest of their lives fucking hates me. Which tells me that there's definitely some activity going on Monday through Wednesday of next week. That the Bureau said I would be here every weekend in the month of June. That includes this upcoming weekend. And that the Bureau said anyone and everyone outside of my front door and window, other than Russ, when I invite him, from April 1st onward, is being charged for that. They literally wouldn't let me play the song No Hall Pass over a week ago because they don't want any whistleblowers outside of my door or windows unless they've been told directly by the Bureau or the sheriffs to do it. No other exceptions. And since all of the whistleblowers are 100% at risk of retaliation, there's a strong likelihood of none of them being instructed that it's okay to be outside of my door or windows anymore. So just remember, the MO for the Bureau this whole month continues to be what it's been since the first week of the month. To make sure that everyone, the small margin of individuals who still believe that they're going to get away with it, believes that until the moment they are detained. And then beyond that, all I can say is follow your conscience. Now, one thing I don't get is, am I pissing off the Bureau by having the HP Chromebook off? Because they're logged on to that. Anytime the camera's on, they're recording directly from it. Microphone and camera, even when you guys think you deactivated it and it's not saving. But every time that I seem to turn it on, you guys go and start fucking with the live stream and then come running to my door today. And I've had enough of you at my fucking door. For years, I've had enough. And you have to remember my criminal history, in case you don't know it, is being the victim of a series of felonies that I never reported because I didn't think it was fair for guys to go to prison for 15 to 20 years for raping me. Putting naked pictures of me on the internet, sending them to bosses. Threatening me with everything you've since made actionable. when I thought they were at heart upstanding citizens and public servants. And being arrested one time at 18 for stealing a bagel sandwich when I was literally starving. That's my criminal history. So whatever you're telling yourselves about it being you and your people versus me, you're totally wrong. It's your federal felon / domestic terrorist versus the United States of America and the state of Washington / attorney general, who personally knows all of your names, as they have since July of 2024. The Bureau's known for longer. The attorney general, just like the sheriffs, have gotten a revolving roster month by month of who's going to prison and who is cooperating and blowing the whistle as federally mandated to the Bureau, and very much facing 100% risk of retaliation. That is an FBI quote. 100% risk. They don't need to prove they're in a hostile working environment. The FBI has already assessed 100%. So again, everybody, the real questions that I have that need answering, and the Bureau hasn't told me, and I'm sure that it's been deliberate because of my big mouth, is, do I get pulled out of here and brought to a hotel so that I'm far away from any of the Everett Police Department officers who have guns or attorneys who have guns that very much want to perpetrate the final remaining felony that hasn't been made actionable? The only felony that hasn't been made actionable, that was first reported to the FBI in 2017? Or does it go the way that the FBI stated for over 8 months? And during Snohomish Superior Court business hours, there is suddenly a lot of activity upstairs that I'm going to hear while running a YouTube live stream, and I'm going to run outside and be recording everybody as they are being handcuffed and detained and keeping it private until I know who got an indictment and who didn't, because I'm going to clip out all of the whistleblowers so they're not in the video at all before I make it public. That's the big question. And will someone be pulling a gun on me and shooting me, or will they be shot by the Bureau just before they do? These are the big questions that I have. I feel like the FBI has decided that the risk of my being shot in the head wasn't a serious issue today because they let you guys get away with a lot. Like thinking over and over and over again that you terminated live streams while you sent people to my door to perpetrate more stalking, intimidation, retaliation. 4 times in one day. That tells me you want me to open the door today. It didn't open though, did it? Nah. No thanks. And we are officially halfway through the week of June 20th, a week that the FBI has been talking about since August and September of last year, a week in which they had very big plans. And tomorrow is your guys' target date after it had been moved. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. Or is nothing going to happen again? Because you've run out of shortage of volunteers to go to prison for you, and people who aren't police officers have started to realize that they're very much going to prison now because of you. Anyway, try hacking this. Let's see what happens. What happens if I go to some websites on this laptop? Can you guys end the live stream that way? Or rather, let's be real. Will the FBI let you think that you've ended the live stream that way? Let's find out together. Let's do... Oh my goodness, Google opened. Oh no. Oh no. That should be an in right there. Go. Go. If you're going to prison, go. Let's see. I'm going to try and throw back on that Dan Cummins latest episode, even though I fucking hate true crime. He was talking about some crazy rapist or some shit. I wasn't paying full attention. Oh, we've got the data decoder already initiated. Spare renderer initiated.
As a loyal listener of this show, you definitely like digging deep into new subjects.
I'm going to end the data decoder. I don't even know what that does. I'm going to end the spare renderer.
Southern New Hampshire University offers over 200
Did that give you an in?
programs
I went to
you can
Google.
complete
I know you need
from
Google.
your couch.
It's Google
Plus,
Workspace.
Southern New Hampshire
She set it
University
up that way.
makes getting your degree affordable with some of the lowest online tuition rates in the U.S. Find your degree at snhu.edu/timesuck. That's snhu.edu/timesuck. Timesuck with Dan Cummins is brought to you by Henry Meds. Henry Meds supports your weight management journey
Oh.
with personalized care from
Well,
licensed
yeah, it
healthcare
looks like you
providers.
already planted some
Following
cookies
a
on
free
Dan
telehealth
Cummins.
consult, prescribed compounded GLP-1 medications are delivered to your
And that
door.
shouldn't be allowed
It's fast, affordable,
because I
with
have all
ongoing
cookies
support,
blocked.
all online.
Oh, no, I have
Visit
third-party cookies blocked. My bad. My
henrymeds.com
bad.
and use code TIME125
False.
to get $125
Third-party
off
cookies
your
blocked.
first month. Results may vary. Not all patients are eligible. Compounded medications are not FDA approved. Consult a healthcare provider to determine if treatment is right for you. When you think of what kind of career a rapist or a murderer might have, what comes to mind? You think of a home security system installer like Dennis Rader, the BTK killer? Or maybe a small business owner like John Wayne Gacy? Or do you think about a chocolate factory worker like Jeffrey Dahmer? Forget he did that? I did. Do you think of random normal jobs like these? Or do you think of the scores of jobless drifters we've covered here? Most recently, Sam
Oh,
Little,
the live
people
stream has
allergic
gone
to gainful
down.
employment.
It was at 80
What you
kbs, and
might
I just
not
saw it
think
was
of
only
is
61.
counterfeiter. I don't think a counterfeiter is much at all, do we? In our digital age, when we focus on financial crimes, I feel like we tend to think of scammers, Nigerian princes, random people texting and or calling you. Let you know that your Amazon account was charged $800 for a
It
new
says here,
iMac.
new
Don't
cookie
worry.
settings will take
They can
effect
sort out
after
this
reloading the
fraudulent
page.
charge
So
and
let's
refund you.
reload. Let's click on the little lock. Okay. Shows all the
As
cookies
a
I already
loyal listener
blocked. I
of this
thought that
show,
just by
you
blocking them,
definitely
they were
like
blocked. I
digging
guess not.
deep into new subjects.
Requires a reload too.
So why not take your love for learning further by getting a degree? Southern New Hampshire University offers over 200 degree programs you can complete from your couch. Plus, Southern New Hampshire University makes getting your degree affordable with some of the lowest online tuition rates in the U.S. Find your degree at snhu.edu/timesuck. That's snhu.edu/timesuck. Timesuck with Dan Cummins is brought to you by Henry Meds. Henry Meds supports your weight management journey with personalized care from licensed healthcare providers. Following a free telehealth consult, prescribed compounded GLP-1 medications are delivered to your door. It's fast, affordable, with ongoing support, all online. Visit henrymeds.com and use code TIME125 to get $125 off your first month. Results may vary. Not all patients are eligible. Compounded medications are not FDA approved. Consult a healthcare provider to determine if treatment is right for you. When you think of what kind of career a rapist or a murderer might have, what comes to mind? You think of a home security system installer like Dennis Rader, the BTK killer? Or maybe a small business owner like John Wayne Gacy? Or do you think about a chocolate factory worker like Jeffrey Dahmer? Forget he did that? I did. Do you think of random normal jobs like these? Or do you think of the scores of jobless drifters we've covered here? Most recently, Sam Little, people allergic to gainful employment. What you might not think of is a counterfeiter. I don't think a counterfeiter is much at all, do we? In our digital age, when we focus on financial crimes, I feel like we tend to think of scammers, Nigerian princes, random people texting and or calling you. Let you know that your Amazon account was charged $800 for a new iMac. Don't worry. They can sort out this fraudulent charge and refund you if you just give them your banking information. Yet, counterfeiters are definitely still around. They've been around.
Oh, also, just as a little side note, to the guy I called Goofy, you're actually pretty good looking. It's too bad you're a fucking psycho stalker. Hopefully you're a whistleblower. In that event, the stupidest whistleblower in the Funky Bunch. But don't be too sad about the fact that I called you Goofy a few times, okay? You're a good looking guy. I like your hair. You have good hair.
For as long as there has been some kind of money to try and copy. Before the introduction of paper money, counterfeiters such as the English couple, Thomas and Ann Rogers, got caught shaving the edges off of silver coins to decrease their weight and repurposed those stolen silver shavings for their own monetary gain. Thomas was hanged, drawn, and quartered. Yes, all of that, this crime, and was burned alive. Some of the first legal tender, having just shown up in North America, Mary Buttersworth would be one of the first counterfeiters to allegedly exploit money's new paper form, using starch cloth and a hot iron to transfer the pattern of a note onto paper and then painstakingly inking in the design with a quill. In 1723, authorities brought her to trial for this crime, and despite testimony against her from her own brother, she was acquitted due to lack of evidence, and she retired on her ill-gotten gains. But if she would have been found guilty, she would have had her ears cropped and been whipped. Punishment for most crimes used to be a tad more severe a few centuries ago than it is now. When we think about our modern currency, those mint green bills with complicated seals and overlapping designs on them, a few of us would probably ever begin to try and undertake the painstaking process of printing, engraving, otherwise manipulating the material to achieve something close enough to that crisp, brand new 20 look to not be noticed by most cashiers. Mike DeBar-DeLaban is definitely not your average person. Thank God. A man who'd once been deeply vain before a series of illnesses wrecked his supposedly good looks, decided early on that he was going to make a lot of money, but not work for it. Armed with a sophisticated printing press and various plates and inks, he would begin an infamous career as a counterfeiter, becoming known as the Mall Passer by the Secret Service for the tens of thousands of dollars of funny money they had determined that he had passed across the country, primarily in American shopping centers. Fortunately for women living in the 70s and 80s, Mike was also an especially cruel, anally fixated sexual sadist, a hardcore, porn-obsessed deviant who used every trick at his disposal, including impersonating police officers, kidnap, sexually torture, and sometimes murder women. He'd also, on occasion, combine his penchant for kidnapping and financial fraud with a series of bank scams. He held the loved ones of bank personnel, or sometimes even the personnel themselves, for ransom. He got away with an exceptionally wide, seemingly unrelated series of crimes for a very long time. He was a true overachiever in some of the worst possible ways. Strange story of the reprehensible, multifaceted, and wimpy-ass micro-peened worm of a man, Mike DeBar-DeLaban, on today's True Crime, probably serial killing, definitely disturbingly deviant, maybe even, as much as I hate to say it, criminal mastermind edition of Time Suck.
This is Michael McDonald, and you're listening to Time Suck.
You're listening to Time Suck.
Well, happy Monday and welcome back to the Cult of the Curious. I'm Dan Cummins, Master Sucker, wannabe time traveler, team meat sack humanist, and you are listening to Time Suck. Hail Nimrod, hail Lucifina, praise be to good boy Bojangles, and glory be to Triple M. A couple quick things, haven't done many announcements recently, got a couple today before we are off and running. First, my last stand-up special, Trying to Get Better, is now also available on Amazon Prime. If you like to watch your specials there, watch it on TV. If you do watch it, please rate and review. And if you have done that, thank you very much. My long-lost brother, Richard B. Cummins, also thanks you. If you know, you know. Also this month, we donated to Lost and Found Youth, an Atlanta, Georgia-based nonprofit providing help to the LGBTQIA+ youth experiencing homelessness. Such a brutal thing for any kid to go through. Lost and Found Youth is providing a space for people 18 to 25 experiencing homelessness. This organization is doing incredible work. Also thrilled to be sending them $11,530 this month, and $1,280 will go to our scholarship fund. Thank you, Space Lizard. You're truly helping us make a difference. If you'd like to learn more or volunteer your time, visit lnfy.org. Also, looks like next month we're going to make it over $1 million worth of total charitable giving. So hail Nimrod, that's fucking awesome. That's crazy. Lucifina's fucking pumped. And the last thing, feels like the world is increasingly on fire right now. So much going on, so much fear and heartache. And I think for a lot of us, it's hard to find anything positive to look towards. So I just wanted to share what I think is something very positive maybe that will come from all of this. There's been a lot of, or have been a lot of really good, peaceful, and passionate protests going on. It's nice to see people exercising that American right. These are protests leading to a lot of important discussions, I think. A lot of people examining their beliefs, and I think that's very cool. Examination leading to action. Love to see that. Most of my life, the defining trait of American political discourse has been widespread apathy, me included. A feeling of fuck it. Nothing ever changes. Why bother? But now, just like back in the late 1960s, my favorite period of American history, if you've been paying attention, I'm a huge fan of the counterculture, as you know, especially if you listen to last week's episode. Well, now that apathy seems to be shifting into activism. And I think that's fucking awesome. I think I'm just starting to truly remember that politicians of all parties and movements, they do actually follow our lead. They are elected public servants, not masters, and they will do what they think will get them the most votes. So let them know what you want, through votes, through protests, through posts, through just conversations. If enough people shout this shit, they will listen. Me personally, this should not come as a surprise, and if it does, well, you haven't been paying attention. I want more equity, more decency, more inclusiveness, more love and grace for our immigrant brothers and sisters, more love and grace for our queer, trans brothers and sisters, less hateful, uncaring, divisive rhetoric from our political leaders, much more economic support for the working class and those struggling need a helping hand. And that's what I'll vote for. And that's what I've already voted for. And that's what I'll be protesting in my private life and have been. Because I do believe in Team Meat Sack. What about you? What do you want? What does Team Sack mean to you? Send it an email, right? Send it to bojangles@timesuckpodcast.com for some future update. I'd love to hear from all sides, right? Not going to turn Time Suck into some, continually political show, but also feel compelled to address the massive elephant in the room from time to time. So let's never stop talking to each other. Let's never be afraid to talk to one another. Never be afraid to try and understand one another, and also never be afraid to fight for what we think is right. Hail Nimrod. That's all. That's all. I just wanted to throw that in there. I felt compelled morally. No one sent any emails, by the way, asking for that. You're like, why is he doing this now? Well, it's just been weighing on me. And now back to the realm of true crime for a very unique, very interesting, and of course, absolutely fucking horrible piece of shit. Mike was not your average criminal. While he's known to have committed at least 4 murders, authorities would suspect him in the murders of many, many more women. Probably dozens based on all the disturbing nude photos and audio recordings authorities found amongst his belongings. That's just me saying that, not authorities. Over 6 women would survive attempts at kidnapping, sexual assault, potentially murder.
I'm surprised I've never heard of this
find, he would be sentenced to over 300
Although
years
I'm not
in prison.
into true crime, when I was a teenager, I was like borderline obsessed with Ted Bundy for a good 6 months. I learned everything you could learn about Ted Bundy over a 6-month period of time as a teen.
Or probable serial killer. He's referred to that often in sources. When he was committing his crimes, the only people really aggressively looking for him were the Secret Service. And they weren't after him for any sexually violent crimes. They were chasing down someone who had successfully been passing off counterfeit bills as real currency and lots of it for years. Someone they just could never seem to catch, get close to. They only started pursuing his sexual crimes after they finally did locate, arrest him for his forgeries, when they found a trove of very deeply disturbing material, including some audio tape recordings of sexual assaults in his possession. I think the toy box killer there. They were shocked to discover that Mike's continual counterfeiting was the least troubling of his crimes. To exemplify all 8 of the outdated DSM-3's criteria for sadistic personality disorder, DSM being the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, publication by the American Psychiatric Association, an internationally accepted manual on the diagnosis and treatment of mental disorders. And the DSM-4 called DeBar-DeLaban an example of both sexual sadism and antisocial personality disorder. Real sick fuck. With a real tiny penis that may have actually helped motivate his sexual sadism, I think. Let's begin. Not much to discuss about today's episode structure-wise. While we could spend a lot of time talking about the history of counterfeiting, it might be better to save that for a different episode. Possibly a short suck. I don't know. I do know that there's just too much information to discuss regarding Mike DeBar-DeLaban. Also add that in here today. Not only did he run 2 concurrent criminal careers, but really more like 4 different criminal careers. Sexually motivated kidnappings, counterfeiting, financially motivated kidnappings, and random murders motivated by who the fuck knows, maybe hatred of his mom. He also found time to court, marry, and sexually and psychologically abuse three women at least, possibly five. He had 5 wives. Like many sexually sadistic serial killers, Mike is thought to have been motivated primarily by hatred of women by many, hate that began with him despising his own mother, Mary Louise, aka Mary Lou, a woman he called Mo, an unstable and promiscuous alcoholic who had several affairs during his childhood. But hate was not his only driving force. He might have also been angry about the little tiny dick he was born with. I'm not even totally joking here. And I'm speculating. But maybe being anally raped himself, there's no proof of that, but you'll see why I say this, and perhaps many, many times during an early stint in prison also turned him into who he became. In addition to all that, Mike also seemed to really enjoy and thrive on manipulation and deception, part of what made him a good counterfeiter, and a hard-to-catch serial rapist / murderer. Loved running a scam, whether that ended in the kidnap of a woman, in a pile of money in the form of a ransom, simply passing a fake $20 bill off is the real deal. I'll tell you what did not motivate him. Sweet dinosaur bones.
Dinosaur bones, yeah, we want to see them. Dinosaur bones, yeah, where can we see them?
I needed that. I don't even know what I said there. I tried to say sweet dinosaur bones real fast. I feel like it came out dinosaur bones. But I needed that little jingle. It has gone from greatly annoying me every time I hear it to actually really soothing me. Strange. Anyway, Mike was a man with no conscience. So much arrogance. He's also like a real-life super criminal or super villain, some comic book or movie, prolific, meticulous, flying under the radar until finally he wasn't. And now time to lay out this crazy story chronologically in the timeline.
Strap on those boots, soldier. We're marching down a time-suck timeline.
Our antagonist of the week, James Mitchell, Mike DeBartoleben, Jr. I was born March 19th, 1940 in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was born a boy, barely. Took doctors a couple of hours to find his penis. Had to bring in a powerful microscope, team of specialists to make sure he did in fact have a penis, and that they were not just looking at a small mole or perhaps a little skin tag. Of course, that's an exaggeration. Like making fun of his dick size because he's such a sexually obsessed piece of shit. And I'm pretty proud of a skin tag for a little tiny dick. What is that? What is that? Skin tag down there? Oh God, that's your penis. Anyway, he was the second of 3 children, born to James Mitchell DeBartoleben, an Army officer and civil engineer, and Mary Louise Edwards DeBartoleben, who went by Mary Lou. James Mitchell DeBartoleben, Sr., also known as Mike somehow, been born in 1906 in Georgetown, Texas, just north of Austin. Raised in Brownsville, Texas, before he went to Texas A&M University at College Station in 1924. He got his degree in civil engineering in the standard 4 years, and then in the standard 2 years later, he had a master's, also in civil engineering. Smart dude. That's when it came to engineering. And quick side note, I'd never heard of the surname DeBartoleben before. It struck me as an unusual name. That's not fucking roll off the tongue, I don't think. It's kind of a clunky fucking name. And I wondered if there are any other notable DeBartolebens out there. I found one with a connection that cracked me up. I wanted to share. Bailey T. DeBartoleben, born in 1908 in Anniston, Alabama, would drop out of Auburn University to head out to sea on the SSHF DeBartoleben, ship named for his grandpa. Not sure if Bailey's related to Mike or not. Anyway, that ship sank 500 miles off the coast of New York while Bailey was on board, and the entire crew ended up being picked up from lifeboats. And then instead of staying away from water for the rest of his life, Bailey doubled down on the sea, became a fucking tugboat captain, worked at a shipping company called Coil Lines,
That's cool,
shipped
dude.
freight back and forth along a new intercoastal
A
canal
tugboat?
between New Orleans, Louisiana, and Galveston, Texas. He worked for Coil Lines for 27 years, became president, then buy out the company, rename it to DeBartoleben Marine Corporation, a corporation specializing in moving freight via tugboats. And I wonder, were some of those tugboats, I don't know, rusty? They had to be, right? And so it appears we have a connection with a rusty tugboat in 2 of the last 3 episodes. And I'm here for it. And I wonder if the 6th star of today's episode ever tried it as a sex movie. He was way into sexual degradation. And what's more degrading than pulling someone around in the water while they're harnessed human centipede style to your butthole while you're shitting hot chili. Please, don't ever let the rusty tugboat become your thing. You could get sick. You get someone else sick. You could drown. You could drown someone else. It's not cool. It's not right. It's not safe. It's dangerous. Done with that silly little detour now. It's not that was funny. Back to Mike Sr. with the onset of the Great Depression. He took a job with the Texas Bureau of Public Roads in Fort Worth, where he met Mary Lou Edwards, a vivacious, 5'4", 26-year-old firecracker of a legal secretary with dark blonde hair. They were instantly crazy about one another, and they were also very different. Mary Lou was the 10th and last child in her family. Lost her mother. Her mother died giving birth to her. A little guilt. Then her father died when she was just 11 years old. Raised now by her stepmom, she never felt loved, instead felt like a burden. She did not grow up in a conventional home environments, the kind that Mike Sr. grew up in, the kind he now wanted for their future kids, but they never should have had kids, because she didn't really want them. She was far happier at work than she was at home. She did not like to do chores or cook, all the shit that Mike definitely wanted his wife to do, wasn't into domestic duties. Despite these fundamental, important differences, they followed their hormones instead of their brains, and they got married in 1934. And then their family would grow 4 years later with the birth of their first child, daughter Michael Linda, they would call Linda, 1938. Why does this family have to work in the fucking name Michael? And to everybody. Shortly after Linda's birth, Mike Sr. would join the Army, and the family would move near the Little Rock Air Force Base in Arkansas, where it seems like Mike did some training with the Air Force. Based on available sources, details of his early military life are pretty murky. In the city of Little Rock, Tuesday, March 19th, 1940, at 4:36 a.m., Mike Jr. arrived. Their third and last child, also named Mike. No, he was named Ralph. Born just under 2 years later. From the beginning, the DeBar DeLaban children had a tumultuous life. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, when Mike Jr. was barely a toddler, the family moved to Washington, D.C., where James became lieutenant. Stay in D.C. for the duration of the war, after which they would move to Austin, Texas, to be around James/Mike Sr.'s family, and then he was shipped out to the Pacific for 9 months. In 1949, the family would once again move, first to Kentucky, then to Frankfurt, Germany. The following year, Mike Sr. promoted to lieutenant colonel, and the family would live in The Hague in the Netherlands for a while. There, Mike Sr. served for 2 years as a military advisor to the U.S. Embassy. Then his career would finally wind to a close when he retired in 1953, taking a federal civil service post in Albany, New York, when Jr. is now 13. All this moving around led to a fair amount of instability for young Mike and the family. Partially due to Mike Sr. being gone for work a lot, both of Mike's parents would have numerous extramarital affairs. At one point, they thought about divorce, but decided to stay together for the kids, as Mike Sr. believed a, quote, natural mother would love her children better than a stepmother would. Mary Lou, not a great mom, according to all three of her children, interviewed years later, and they probably should have gotten a divorce. Mary Lou now continued to have affairs once her husband was done traveling. Described in numerous sources as having been a sexually promiscuous, unstable alcoholic. She could be both violent and neglectful, apparently preferring to spend most of her time at bars, drinking and picking up men for one-night stands or casual flings. Apparently she had a real Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of personality. When she was sober, she was sounds like a pretty cool person to be around. And when she got drunk, she was like an entirely different human being. And not a good one. Yet she and her husband would stay married. You know, because a natural mom is always better than a stepmom. Love black and white thinking like that. Mike's older sister, Linda, becomes a caretaker for her two younger brothers, doing things like making them pancakes before breakfast, or for breakfast before school, stealing money from the mom's purse to get some groceries. Dad, apparently, when he's not working, is just completely checked the fuck out most of the time. His wife just ran all over him. Even though Mike Jr., can we just call him Jr. For the most part? We can. Even though Jr. had a stand-in mommy, his sister, who treated him well, a positive female influence in his life, he still grew to hate his actual mom and eventually all women. Didn't hate dudes, though, even though his dad was pretty shitty, too. On an emotional level, Mike Sr. was very critical of his children. One source says punitive. Almost never praised them for any of their accomplishments, never really showed them any paternal affection. On the physical level, he frequently took things to a place that was pretty dark, though unfortunately maybe not all that uncommon for a dad in the 1950s. Junior was younger, his father would punish him by forcing him to sit in corners for long periods of time. Not the worst. But he'd also beat his ass with a switch, aka a small branch from a tree. Not the best, but again, Sadly, pretty common for the time. However, he would also do shit like hold his head underwater in the bathtub to, quote, cool him off. And that, making your kid think that you might drown them to death, not common for the time. That's fucking psychotic. According to his siblings, these punishments began before Junior was old
I
enough
just flipped up in the lid on the HP Chromebook to look and see if it did indeed finally change channel from being stuck on the developer channel for like the last 24 to 36 hours. And there's no longer the little brackets with the D on the bottom right-hand corner. I turned it back off and closed it.
According to his own account and that of his sister, he preferred solitary activities. He spent a great deal of time drawing and sketching in his room. He did pretty well in school for a little while. Not surprised based on what he will pull off later. In 1953 in Albany, New York, at the Philip Livingstone Junior High School, he had a 92 in English, a 95 in social studies, 93 in science, 89 in algebra, and a 79 in Spanish. Not bad at all. But then his home life would cause his school life to suffer. In 1956, Mike would commit the first act of what was to become a routine, apparently, a physical assault against his mother. He called her for some reason Mo. Not clear what the initial assault was, but Mo got her ass beat by a baby boy for the first time when he was 16. And there's no mention of dad or mom punishing their son for this. They spoke of this years later, after one of Junior's early arrests, and would tell authorities they became afraid of Junior and thought he was capable already of murdering them. And he probably was. Shortly after he whooped Mama's ass, the first entry in Mike's rap sheet shows up in the fall of 1956. He's arrested for carrying a concealed weapon while the family still lived in Albany, New York. That September 8th, he purchased 2 handguns and ammunition with a friend, and later that month, he was arrested and convicted of his first felony, possessing a concealed firearm. Some sources say around the same time, he'd also threatened his mother with either a hatchet or a letter opener. I was planning on threatening her with the gun next, killing her. I was probably at least thinking about it. In May of 1957, Mike just turned 17. Almost collided his 51 Chevy Coupe with a car driven by Albany police officer George Lynch, and got another charge on his rap sheet, reckless driving. And for his mugshot, he went with the wild one, kind of rebel without a cause vibes. He wore a leather jacket, dark rim glasses, and a sneer. Lucky for Mike, a local judge dismissed the gun charge and the reckless driving case in exchange for him paying a small fine. Then just a few weeks later, Mike was expelled from Peter Schuler High School for undisclosed reasons. And now his parents turned to the common solution for delinquent young men at the time. They each took turns rusty tugboating him. Despite making him eat so much butthole chili, he still did not get his act together. No, they shipped him off to the military. In October of that year, under strong parental pressure, Mike enlisted in the U.S. Air Force, stationed at the Lackland Air Force Base in Bexar County, Texas, before being moved to Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. After only a year, he was court-martialed in March of 1958 for disorderly behavior on charges ranging from wearing improper insignia and improper uniform to disorderly behavior, and sentenced 2 months in the base stockade. In June, he was cited again for unauthorized absence from med check, 2 charges of breaking restrictions and being disrespectful to superiors. And all that earned him a visit to the Air Force psychiatrist. And that psychiatrist would describe him as a, quote, verbose young man of superior intelligence who gave an extensive history of repetitive acts of egocentric and antisocial nature dating back several years. Approaches interpersonal relationships with a suspicious attitude that leaves little room for consideration of others. So in other words, it's a fucking sociopath. The psychiatrist did not feel a future in the military was looking very promising for Mike, and the psychiatrist would be right. In August of 1958, at the age of 18, Mike was discharged from the Air Force under other than honorable conditions, and he moved into a small Fort Worth, Texas home that his parents had bought after their children had all left the house. I'm sure they were fucking thrilled to have abusive baby boy who was already beating up mom at least once back home. Junior's sister Linda had gotten married by now. Baby brother Ralph had dropped out of high school and joined the Army, so he's the only kid living at home now. So Junior, he's living at home with his parents he despises, doing various jobs, pumping gas, selling men's clothing. And he starts to tell others now that he does not intend to work hard for a living for very much longer. Initially, he had some kind of plan to make easy money legitimately, though. He figured it was time to give school another shot, set himself up for whatever he was thinking about. In January of 1959, Mike enrolled at R.L. Pascal High School, but after 3 months, got expelled again for undisclosed reasons. Then in August of that year, he marries his first wife, Linda Weir, described as a Fort Worth teenager. Just 3 weeks later, though, they would separate. In October of 1959, now 19-year-old Mike, still wanting to make lots of money without having to work hard for it, decides to give robbery a try. On October 5th, he and an accomplice attempted to rob the Echo service station in Fort Worth, pulled a paper bag over his head, approached the night shift attendant with a pistol in hand, but when the man reached for the money, Mike panicked, thinking he was reaching for a gun, fired his gun, and then fucking ran. The attendant, fortunately, was unharmed. When the pair were then arrested 2 weeks later for a string of auto thefts, Mike's accomplice readily confessed, and Mike was now sentenced to 5 years probation. I can't believe that's all he got. That November, Mike's wife, Linda, they unfortunately got back together. She gives birth to a premature stillborn daughter. Mike, of course, is the father. He doesn't really seem to care about the dead child or his wife. He's already focused by this time on somebody else. A 17-year-old girl from the area he had recently met. Charlotte Wimmer, daughter of a railroad engineer. As a high school student, when Mike asked her out, she fell in love with Mike pretty quick. He's like a handsome young rebel from a movie, wild and reckless, kind of bad boy. Even though she thought it was odd that he sometimes literally spent hours in front of the mirror adjusting his appearance, getting ready, and using makeup. She was still enamored with him. Even after he shared this next bit. At home, where he still mooched off of his parents and did shit like kicking in doors, lighting fires in his room, and putting holes in the walls. Mary Lou and Mike Sr. told Charlotte about all that, but she didn't seem to care. Why didn't his parents stop him, kick him out? Well, he still scared them. Scared them more than ever. By March of 1960, Charlotte is now pregnant with Junior's baby. Junior was able to get a divorce from his first wife by this point, and now these two get married on June 9th at Charlotte's parents' house. The couple's daughter will be born December 12th, 1960, and they will name her Bethany. And Junior would now move out of his parents' house. The young couple's first home was an apartment at 3127 Lubbock Street in Fort Worth, and there Charlotte soon realized that Mike was not that interested in being a father or in being a husband. He wasn't abusive yet, he just wasn't around, and he wasn't making enough money to provide for his family. And now Charlotte and Junior's daughter, well, they move in with Junior's parents, but he does not move in with them, and that's so fucking weird. Instead, he just disappears for a while. Then one day at Charlotte's parents' house, where this poor girl and her daughter have now moved into, Mike comes to visit, and that's when they conceive their second child, also a daughter. A daughter who Charlotte's parents forced her to give up for adoption if they're going to keep letting her live with them. And it was bad enough that they were supporting their daughter and granddaughter. They did not need yet another mouth to feed. So Junior, he's fucking killing it. By the age of 21, he's been married twice. He's had 3 kids. He hasn't done shit to take care of either wife or either of the kids who are still alive. And before we move forward with Junior's life, let's take this week's first 2 Mitcho sponsored breaks. If you hate hearing these ads, please sign up to be a space nerd on Patreon. Get the catalog ad-free. Get episodes 3 days early. Help us donate to charities and more.
Choose the best Honda with more Best Buy awards than any other brand. Save thousands with 0.99% APR financing on new Hondas like the 25 Prologue. To drive the best with 0.99%, search your local Honda dealer today. See dealer for financing details. Financing on credit approval. Offer ends 7/7/25. For more information, visit KellyBlueBooksKBB.com. Kelly Blue Book is a registered trademark of Kelly Blue Book Co. Inc.
This is an ad by BetterHelp, and this ad is for the male meat sacks who listen. Therapy is not just for everyone else. It's for you too, and it doesn't make you any less tough or any less manly. Men today face immense pressure. Be sensitive, yet still be strong. Be open with your emotions, but don't look weak. It's no wonder that 6 million men in the U.S. suffer from depression every year, and it's often undiagnosed. It's okay to struggle. Real strength comes from opening up about what you're carrying and doing something about it so you can be at your best for yourself and everyone else in your life. If you're a man and you're feeling the weight of the world, talk to somebody. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/timesuck. That's betterhelp.com/timesuck. You enjoying your summer? Making fun plans? Beach time? barbecues, music festivals. You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're making summer plans, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. So make the switch to Mint Mobile. With plans starting at $15 a month, Mint Mobile gives you premium wireless service on the nation's largest 5G network. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text. The coverage and speed you're used to, way less money. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile. So while your friends are sweating over data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chilling literally and financially. I don't even know how much I've saved at this point after making the switch. Thousands? Millions? Okay, probably thousands. Definitely enough to buy festival passes, definitely enough to buy burgers and brats for everyone at the barbecue. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/timesuck. That's mintmobile.com/timesuck. Upfront payment of $45 for a 3-month 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. If you'd rather get a root canal than shop for car insurance, you're not alone. Fortunately, there's a smarter, less painful way to shop for car insurance, and it's called Jerry. You heard me right. Jerry. Jerry makes things easy by handling the entire insurance shopping process in one place. It's a seamless start-to-finish experience from comparing quotes to getting covered. No endless forms, no jumping from site to site, no sales calls, just clear, personalized options you can trust with 24/7 support. Stop needlessly overpaying for car insurance. Drivers who save with Jerry save over $1,300 a year on average. So before you renew your policy, do yourself a favor. Download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/timesuck. In just a few minutes, you can compare quotes and coverages from up to 50 top insurers. Jerry, car insurance made simple, smart, and finally on your side. Based on drivers who switched and saved with Jerry over the past 12 months. Over 20% of drivers who switched with Jerry found a monthly premium of $87 or less. Not all drivers find savings. Thanks for listening to those ads, and now let's return to 1961. On August 12, 1961, while Mike is still only 21, his 19-year-old brother Ralph is home on leave from the Army. He's been staying with his parents. But a few days earlier, he and Mike Jr. got into a big argument over what we do not know, and Ralph stormed out and then rented a room in a motel. And after staying at this motel for a few days, he dies by suicide in a church parking lot after asphyxiating himself with the car's exhaust. Mike will claim his brother did what he did because a girlfriend had just broken up with him. He was unhappy in the military, did not want to go back to the Army, and also he was fucked up from the childhood Mike experienced. Mike also experienced. And maybe that's true. Maybe there's some truth to that. Or maybe Mike Jr. did or said something that pushed his baby bro over the edge. I think it's interesting that he took his life a few days after leaving his parents' house because he had had an argument with his psychotic brother. That September, Mike will now divorce Charlotte and give education a third try. Why not? Mike briefly started attending 2 different universities in Texas, Texas Christian University and North Texas State University in Denton, during the summer of 1961, despite lacking a high school diploma. He took some business courses, English, French, and psychology, but he stuck with it that fall, also the following spring. But after 2 semesters, he left school again, where he held a D+ average. Then in September of 1962, his probation on the auto theft sentence was revoked for reasons sources don't say, and now Mike found himself doing some hard time at the Texas State Prison in Huntsville. He'll be paroled after 8 months into the custody of his parents, who had now relocated again to Arlington, Texas. They found that their son, very, very unstable before he had been sent away, much, much worse condition now. He moved back in with them. He was suffering from hepatitis, which kind sources do not say, mononucleosis, mono, and prostatitis. There we go. Slow down. So hepatitis, mononucleosis, prostatitis. Interestingly, you can get all 3 of these infections from sex. Specifically, you can get prostatitis, inflammation of the prostate gland, from bacteria introduced to the prostate via semen. Don't have to get it that way, but you can. So via anal sex, rough, unprotected, unlubed anal sex, say prison rape anal sex, would make it easier to get all 3 of these conditions. To be very clear, 0 sources say that Mike was ever raped or that he got these infections and prostate inflammation from sex of any kind. Also, no one else shared this story that I'm aware of has come to the same conclusion, but I find it very interesting that he was apparently not sexually aggressive before he went to prison for this time, like this first time. Neither one of his first two wives would claim that. But then after prison, he becomes very sexually sadistic, and his go-to becomes painful anal sex. I want to make the wild guess that Junior spent a lot of time, his time in prison getting roughly fucked in the ass.
Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Don't be mad. Blow the whistle tonight before it's too late, or you're going to regret it for the rest of your life, dude. Now it seems like a good time to remind you guys, there are certain instructions that the FBI has given me that I haven't been authorized to disclose to you. Big Bait McGee, Big Bait McGee. I always will be Big Bait McGee. I'll let you guys know something else. Although astrologically, I have to disagree. Astrologically, some individuals that are going to prison for the rest of their lives should be ecstatic Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But the Bureau said they will not be. They will be angry Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The Everett Police Department via Unit 2 just made one of the live streams drop down to 0 again, quickly pulling back from that, seeing if they were still able to pull off something that they were able to utilize by my having the settings open in a separate browser window. They pulled off because they just wanted to see if they could do it. Just remember what happened earlier this evening. Because there will definitely be a repeat of that. Why else would the FBI say, oh, it'll be such a surprise that it was still recording? The reality is exactly what I've been saying. The next time you are in my house, or any of your fellow co-conspirators and domestic terrorists, you will be detained and arraigned at most the following business day. So if you launch your attack that you keep delaying for Friday, you'll have all weekend before you're incarcerated. That's not a lie. It's a fact. And you can believe me or not, but you're going to find out as soon as someone is in my living room that I didn't invite in. One of the reasons the FBI is so pleased with YouTube live streams and why they've referred to them as being crucial evidence is because thanks to Google and to YouTube, you've all allowed them into Unit 207 the whole time. So as you're sitting up there, still toiling away, attempting to perpetrate the final felony to make actionable, which you keep deluding yourselves, some of you, into thinking, oh no, we don't plan on killing you. We just want you physically removed from the premises and the house you've paid for the closing cost of over 5 times after we've perpetrated over 250 crimes against you and gotten paid, in some instances, 3 years of salary for doing nothing legal. I assure you, the plan to shoot me in the head without video and audio footage is 100% the plan. And all of you that are participating, you are adding attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder to your indictments if you are not a whistleblower. Though I am curious to see who's going to be correct on this. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, astrologically, federal felon Andy, federal felon Anne Marie, federal felon Richard Garcia, federal felon Erica Owens. These people, astrologically, as well as the Cancer and the Scorpio you've got upstairs, astrologically, they should be excited on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. According to the FBI, though, any of the named individuals I just rattled off who didn't blow the whistle are indeed facing decades behind bars. And they are not going to be happy on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. I wonder which of us will be right, myself or the Bureau. I rarely like to bet against myself, but I'm hoping the Bureau is correct. But remember, whatever happens next week and the week after that, that's when everyone that's going to prison really hates me, according to the FBI. But this is the week of June 20th. And so far, aside from 4 attempts at murder today, it's been little action compared to April 1st to date. Just more of the same. Cowardly criminals, child abusers, extortionists, stalkers, thieves, fraudsters. I hate liars more than any other type of person. I'll take a mean psychopath like Hitler over a liar who in secret is a psychopath and then has the audacity to walk around wearing a badge or calling themselves an officer of the court in any capacity. And the reason that I dislike liars more than just the status quo psychopath who's really upfront about it is because of the fact that they walk around with a costume hiding what they really are. After having a multiple times convicted stalker and abuser, and then relationships with 2 other men that were just like him, but not as bad or bad, but in a different way, came to the conclusion that I can tolerate a psychopath like codename Jersey Devil, who thinks that she comes off as cordial and professional, but she comes off as what she is. She comes off like a fucking psychopath. But I cannot tolerate people who pretend to be something that they're not in order to inflict harm on other human beings, especially over and over and over again. The Bible says that you need to forgive somebody 70 times, 70 times, and then at that point in time, you can stop forgiving them. That's exactly what I do. And I say that because this summer you are all going to reap what you have sown. Very soon. Very soon. I wish that one of your 4 attempts at murder today would have coincided with somebody opening my fucking window or that door. It's Tuesday now. Your target date as of Friday. You have no idea how tempted I am just to end the live stream until you fucking try. Come and get your prize. It's life in prison without parole. That is the prize. Less the whistleblowers, who Godzilla will be blessing in protecting with funds into federal marshal for simply doing what? The right thing. Isn't it funny how it works out that way? Now, the fact that you all are preventing me from listening to podcasts or watching videos, or even going to websites to read, on top of everything else you've done, I find it to be soul sickening. There are some of you that I would literally like to watch as you die and burst into the oblivion and the nothingness that you've chosen in your life instead of eternal life. I'd like to see your face as you're taking your last breath and realizing that you will not be living again because of your activities in this life. Just so I could see that you do have remorse. Because you're going to have remorse. It's all the little things you see. I add them up. I add them up one by one by one by one. And tonight, as I sit here, thinking of all that you've done and all that you're trying to do, and your plans for today, I'm just reminded of why it is that humanity is such a sickening species. As a majority. And for the whistleblowers, I feel a special sense of compassion because regardless of if they agree with me or not, and they probably don't because people like to have other people like them. It's been a problem of humanity since its inception. People like to follow the majority. They want to blend in. They want to be liked. They don't want to be weird. Anyway, all the whistleblowers are surrounded by you, disgraces to mankind. So my hopes for them are the opposite as they are for you. I would like to see them be wealthy and happier in the future than they've ever been at any point in their life. I would like the next time that they're living, thanks to Godzilla, for them to be blessed with some special gift from God for doing the righteous thing. And that's what's on my mind. Today, Tuesday, your target date at 12:29 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then I'll let you know a secret. Even if you cut off the live stream, I don't believe any of you sacks of shit will once again be entering my home, even though the Bureau would love for you to go through the fucking window again. Like they stated, which is why the windows have been unlocked the entire time. Because I couldn't tell whether the Bureau was joking or telling the truth. But they said it multiple times, so I think they really do want to see you go through the windows again. Have full video and audio footage, as well as these that will be testifying against all of you that will be going to prison. And they plan on charging everyone who didn't blow the whistle about that incident ahead of time. Including those giving authorizations, none of which is new news. And yet here we are. Here we are. some of you might think it's harsh, and you might think, well, that goes in complete opposite to your YouTube video about how to forgive with Mystic GWEN. I meant what I said in that video. But those of you going to prison have not atoned. So in the event that you're, for whatever reason, afforded by Godzilla the chance at eternal life, although every single religious and spiritual text, even Buddhism, says you won't be, well, then I hope Godzilla forces you to come back and ride around in my body and my mind and experience every moment of what you put me through for an infinity. So again, the righteous are going to be fine. Wisdom, Godzilla is standing by us, and Godzilla is making us all very rich, not just with money, which Godzilla hates, the green god, but also with eternal life. There we go. Unit 207, the North Everett Precinct, once again believes, rightly or wrongly, they can terminate the live stream and prevent it from reinitiating immediately, as was demonstrated earlier this evening and 3 other times today. Something the FBI appreciates. That level of confidence is something they utilize, showing up outside of my door within 13 minutes each and every time. And I say that because I want you to feel really proud of yourself this time next week. Boop. Happy hump day. I'm going to be on all of your minds next week on Wednesday. I want you all to pay attention. I'm signed out. But as you can see yourselves in the task manager, it's still recording. Do you understand now, Unit 207? I know you've got an old turkey that showed up that you wanted to get accolades from. But what you're seeing right now is what's going to be the case each and every time you hurry downstairs. Each and every time you send someone to my house. It says she's signed out. And yet it's still recording. The camera isn't running on the Lenovo ThinkPad. I'm signed out of YouTube, for Christ's sake. So again, come and get your prize. Life in prison without parole. Note it and pay attention. And now I'm going to do something one of the big boys upstairs has been hoping for me to do all fucking day. Why haven't I power washed it? Okay, I'm going to power wash it now just for you, baby boy. And also because the Bureau told me to. You note, it's still recording. It's still recording.